Okay, so once you've used your needle to center your piece, or just use your finger, you've placed your 2 anchors. You're going to rotate it. Take 2 more. These are just fresh, soft pieces of clay. Anchor it again. And you can see I'm kind of running out of space on this bat because it's a tiny wheel, but that's okay. In fact, you don't really need nearly that much. These are just to gently hold your pot in place. If they have to hold it really hard, then your pot is either too off-centered or you're trimming too ferociously or something. So just nice little pieces to anchor it in place. One thing to keep in mind, be careful not to push in on the side too hard to crush your pot. And also, you kind of have to push on both of them at the same time so you don't throw your pot off center one direction. Now, what you'll do, just kind of make sure it's firm, get your pot spinning. And you're just going to use your trimming tool to slowly and gently carve off some of this weight first of all. And I like to put my hand on top here. That way you can kind of feel if you're getting any movement. If it starts to break free for some reason, then you can take evasive action, stop trimming. But see how I'm just taking off a little bit at a time? By doing this, you minimize your chance of hooking into it and sending your whole pot flying. Now, as you can see, I've got a pretty uneven bottom here, so this kind of becomes a good example for you for your first try, because there's a good chance you'll be in the same boat. But what I can do to take care of that, to counteract that, is I'm holding my tool very steady. See how this finger's coming across? I'm bracing my tool, my hand on the wheel, and holding that really steady, and just let the clay come to you rather than chasing it around. Gonna carve into the side a little bit here too. And I'm actually gonna come one more step in for this foot. And one more. There we go. Okay, now I can take off all this excess clay here. This is going to really work to make a nice, light, delicate plate. See where my scratches were there? I can carve those away. See how it's just coming off in those nice ribbons, these little curls? That's exactly what you want. That means you have the right dryness on your pot. Now, of course, before I put this on here, I checked the thickness of my pot and the weight of my pot to get an idea of how thick these walls were, so I don't carve all the way through, because of course you don't want to do that. Okay, now that I've sort of, here, I'll stop the wheel so you can take a look. See how this is really starting to come to shape here on the wheel here? Okay, now we're going to take some weight off the bottom and take some weight out of the center here. So get the wheel spinning again. I'm just going to go, I'm even going to come in a little further on this foot because I have such an uneven spot. I'm going to come and carve that out, pull those pieces away. And then when you want to take the weight out of the center, you just put your tool right in the center. Just get it started, and very, very slowly. See how I'm just scraping off a little edge of that, right? And get rid of that when it's in your way. Just taking off a little peel. And that is just, this is just the perfect dryness of this clay here, because it's just coming off so nicely. Okay, then you can angle this piece in a little bit. I kind of like to do that, just to give it a little flare. And then where I do have such an uneven bottom, I'm going to take a little bit off of this to even up that foot. There we go. That kind of takes the jump out of it. Of course, you have to be careful not to take off too much and carve your whole foot off. There we go. And I'm going to take a little bit more out of the center here. There are larger carving tools as well, and of course there's a round end. I just advise being really careful with the large tools, because those are the ones where you hook a big edge of blade in here, and you can really take a chunk out of your plate, and worse, you can send your plate flying. And once you send it flying, it's a good chance it's going to not survive that. Okay, so there we go. We've got that smooth. And you can make this as perfect as you want. It's just really up to you. But I'm going to kind of keep it about like that. Take a little bit more off of this angle here. Just make a nice delicate little foot. And then what I like to do is, if your clay is soft enough, which this clay is just right, I like to take my fingers and I'm just going to polish this edge. Oops, I got a little blip. I'm going to try this one more time. Just get rid of that little blip. Okay. Now you take your fingers, and I just like to polish up that edge a little bit like that, just to smooth it. That'll just make it so it doesn't scratch your table as often or whatever. So, alright, so that's that. That's trimming on the wheel.